Hello and welcome to the Festival of Computing 2021, a unique collaboration between Plymouth University and Computing at School. And this session is called CAS Communities, Microbit and GoBubble. My name is Wendy Piccinini and I'm one of the Computing at School outreach managers covering London and the East of England. I'll be your host for the session, and today I am accompanied by Taylor, a student ambassador who is moderating the session and monitoring the question window. We are joined today by Amy Fagan and Giles Booth from Microbit, and we're hoping that Henry Platten and Matt Lovegrove, who are speaking about GoBubble, will be joining shortly. And I'll be handing over to them in a few moments. Just before we do, I have a couple of things to say. In terms of housekeeping during the session, please use the chat window, which is usually on the right-hand side of your screen, to ask questions. You may need to click on the chat icon to open it. Our student ambassador will be making a note of questions posed there, and these will be answered if time allows after each presenter. As a reminder, all attendees are in listen-only mode. If you would like a copy of today's slides, then they will be available for you to download from the Computing at School website. Finally, the hashtag for this event is hashtag CAS PLYM21. And may I encourage you to tweet about the sessions that you are attending throughout the day. So we're going to get started with CAS Communities, and as I am one of the CAS outreach managers, I'm going to speak to you for a few minutes about computing at school and our communities. So as I said, my name is Wendy Piccinini. I work for Computing at School, but prior to joining the BCS a couple of years ago, I was a former primary school teacher for 20 years and a computing practitioner of excellence. I also ran one of the CAS communities locally and trained as one of the original master teachers when the new curriculum came out. In my role at the moment as a community outreach manager, I work in partnership with STEM Learning and Raspberry Pi, and together our organisations form the NCCE, which is the National Centre for Computing Education. I manage 65 communities of teachers across London and the East of England, as well as leading webinars like this one and organising regional conferences. My details are at the bottom of this slide, so if you have any questions that occur to you after this session, please don't hesitate to get in contact. I'd love to hear from you. So what are CAS Communities of Practice? Well, Computing at School is a community of individuals who are passionate about computing education and making it great for the children that we teach. It's a professional practice, and this slide says there are 330 communities, but it's an ever-increasing number, so it's always difficult to actually say how many communities we have at any one time, but we've got new ones launching all the time, which is really exciting. And the majority of our communities are run by teachers for teachers. Usually they meet once a term in school, but in the past year, as you know, things have been different, and all our sessions are currently online. And communities are an opportunity to bring teachers together, to talk, to meet one another, to connect, exchange ideas, share best practice and resources. And a lot of our community meetings are opportunities for free CPD as well. We have 38,000 registered members who are mainly primary and secondary school teachers. And also online, we have forums for primary and secondary. So you can post a question on one of our forums, and you will find that lots of people from the community will reach out to you and respond, because it's a very safe place and a very welcoming place. So yeah, do check out our forums. We also have lots of resources which are free. Everything that Computing at School offers is free. So there's lots of primary resources, secondary and early years. And we have events like this one, as well as our community events. So lots going on. So I encourage you to sign up to Computing at School if you aren't already a member. Just wanted to include this screenshot of one of our community meetings to show you that we have a diverse but inclusive community, and anyone is welcome to lead or co-lead a community. We're very friendly, as you can see, and that just gives you a picture, really, a snapshot of what it's like to be at a community meeting. So how can you find your nearest CAS community? When you go onto our homepage, if you scroll halfway down, you will see the search boxes, and I would encourage you not to search by name, although our CAS communities are named usually according to the town or city where they're located. If you actually search by your postcode, this is a better way to find your nearest CAS communities, because it will give you a list of 5 or 6, so give you more to choose from. So that'd be my recommendation. This is our website. The second tab along the top is called Kaz Inspire. And Kaz Inspire, as it says on the slide, is an ongoing program of support. We started it in spring 2020 because of the lockdown. It was a response really to the lockdown, to provide online training, webinars, videos and different events, and it's continued, and we are continuing it for the rest of this year and into next year. So we're planning an exciting lineup at the moment, and you can see there's different sections to this part of the website. There are some fantastic webinars that have taken place so far, which are primary related. And I would encourage you to have a look at those because they're really useful to use in the classroom with other colleagues for CPD training. So to give an example, as we're on the primary chat this morning, the primary videos, some of them link computing with art or with geography or with history, and give you lots of fantastic cross-curricular ideas, which are really useful anyway, but particularly at the moment when schools are going back and we've got this catch-up curriculum idea, and perhaps a shorter time in the school day than normal. So some really fantastic ideas there. We also have a set of videos called Active Minds and Bodies, and we had great fun making these with our own children, as I said, in the original lockdown. And they are fun videos, and you can either use them in the classroom at the start of a lesson when you're introducing computational thinking with a follow-up activity sheet, or you can share them with children to use at home. But they are chances and opportunities for children to do computing and show how it's linked with football or with cooking brownies or playing drums. So do have a look at that section of our website. These are the forums that I was talking to you about earlier. So lots of different topics. As I said before, you could post a message and start a whole new conversation on the primary forum. The resources are also on this page, so do have a look through, have a really good look through the website, because there's lots available and on offer for you. This is our events page. You can see today's festival at the top when this picture, this screenshot was taken, but lots of events. They're all free, they're all online at the moment, so anything at all that's interesting to you, please sign up and join, and you'll be sent the joining link. As you can see, Sarah, who was talking on the previous session, she runs lots of different sessions for primary teachers, so I encourage you to have a look at those. At the top, you can change the location, so you can show events in different regions if you wanted to find out about local community events. But if you wanted to just have the full selection, then just scroll through. And as I said, anything that's of interest, please feel free to join. We have Facebook groups, and we have a primary and a secondary one. So I'd encourage you to sign up to those. That's another way to find out about our events that are happening. We are also on Twitter, so our handles are there at the bottom of the screen, and on Instagram. So lots of ways to engage with the Computing at School community. On a Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. in term time, we have what we call CAS Chat. And this is another opportunity to engage with other members of our community and to answer questions. There's always a particular focus for the evening, and different questions come up every 10 minutes, and it's a chance to answer and sort of another opportunity to share ideas with other computing leads. We partner, as I said, with Raspberry Pi and STEM Learning, and the NCCE offer a free computing curriculum that was launched just at the end of the summer term last year. So it's been completed. It's comprehensive from Key Stage 1 to Key Stage 4. And you can even adapt it and tailor it for your own individual school and setting. So if you are looking for a scheme of work that you'd like to use, we can recommend this one, and it's found on the Teach Computing website, which is teachcomputing.org.
So I just, Wendy, pushing you for time a little bit.
Yeah. Last few slides. Hello World magazine. If you haven't subscribed to this yet and you haven't heard of this before, this is a computer magazine that's free and is available to all teachers. So I encourage you to sign up for your free copy. And final slide. Just to recap, encourage you to join CAS if you haven't already. Search for your nearest community, and when they come up, there's a option there to actually join this community. I'd encourage you to tick that, because that links you in and you'll receive all the information from the community leader. Facebook groups, online events, the Teach Computing website if you're interested in a scheme of work and other opportunities for CPD, and subscribe to the Hello World magazine. Taylor, I don't know if there was any questions, but that was a whistle-stop tour.
I think that's it there's no questions in the chat.
That's fine, no problem, thank you. I'm now going to hand over to Amy and Giles from Microbit. Thank you.
Hello, thanks Wendy. I'm Amy, I'm from Microbit. I work as Head of Partnerships for EMEA, and this is my colleague Giles.
Hi, I'm Giles. I'm the Education Content Manager for Microbit. I'm a former teacher. I was a late retrainer as a primary school teacher, and I've also taught computer science in secondary as well.
Great. So just going to share my screen and my slides. So hopefully everyone can see those. Just let us know in the chat if not, but if everyone can see, we will kick off. So I'll hand over to you, Giles, but I will control the slides. So here we go.
Thank you. So I should be saying next slide, please, in the time-honored fashion. Next slide, please. So we thought we'd start just by giving you a quick summary of what we hope to cover today. We're going to talk about the BBC Microbit, what it is, for those of you who are perhaps not familiar with it or not sure what it is, how it can support your teaching and learning. We're going to show you some of the resources that we've got available. All our resources on our website are all completely free of charge, and our lesson plans, you can download them and modify them and do what you want with them. We've got short projects and full lessons. We're having a quick look at some of those, some samples of those, and some of the tools we've got to help your teaching, the competition that we run annually, the global, based around the United Nations Global Goals, and hopefully we'll have time for any questions that you may have. One of the new things that we did just in time for lockdown last year, we revamped our entire website and included lots more of our own lesson plans and projects and materials to help you get started with the Microbit. And one of the first things we did was to create this video, which we're going to play now, which introduces the Microbit. You can use this, first of all, for yourself to familiarize yourself with the device, but it's also a good tool to use if you want to tell other people, tell your colleagues or SLT about the Microbit and why you should be using it in your school. So if we'll just watch this video now, it's about 2 minutes.
It's really simple to get started with the BBC Microbit. You just need a Microbit, a micro USB cable and a computer. The Microbit is a piece of hardware, a tiny pocket-sized computer. To make it work, you have to tell it what to do by writing a computer program. Programs are called software. The micro USB cable is used to transfer the program onto the Microbit. Let's have a look at it. On one side of the Microbit, you will see 25 LEDs arranged as a square to make a simple display. There are also two input buttons, button A and button B. On the other side, you will see a reset button and a small socket to plug in a battery pack. We explore the processor and other features in further videos in this series. The Microbit can only do what you tell it to do, so the first thing you need to do is write a program. You can use different programming languages to do this. For example, MakeCode, which works as a block and text editor, or the Python text-based editor. For beginners, MakeCode is a good place to start. We've selected some simple projects to help you. Choose one to get started. The latest version of the Microbit has some exciting new features. The microphone adds a sound sensor. And the special LED on the front of the Microbit lights up to show you when this new sound input is measuring sound levels. The speaker lets you add sound as an instant audio output to your projects. On the front of the new Microbit, its logo is now gold. This new capacitive touch sensor is an input that helps you interact with your Microbit in even more exciting ways. And now, you can turn the new Microbit off by holding your finger down on the reset button on the back. And you can wake it up by pressing it again.
So hopefully that gives you some sort of overview of what the device is. Also on our website, we've got some animated videos that explain some concepts as well. And we found they've been incredibly popular. They're the most watched videos on our site. It's really simple. Are the videos explaining, for example, what a processor is and what inputs and what outputs are. And the Microbit's great for that because it's got so many sensors built in for temperature, for light, for movement, for magnetism. And it's got outputs in terms of its LED display. And now with the new Microbit, a built-in speaker. So it's a pocket-sized computer. It's kind of a microcontroller. So it's a computer that you program with another device, with a laptop or a tablet or a phone. And then it becomes a self-contained device. So it's a physical computing device. And that's when the real magic happens, when pupils program the device and they unplug it from the computer and they plug a battery pack in and they discover that they've created a kind of digital artifact using starter code that you can give, project ideas, but then they can make it their own. The Microbit's been around for a few years now. So it started in sort of 2015, 2016. There are a lot of Microbits in UK schools because around 2016, the BBC, as part of the Make It Digital project, gave about 1 million devices to secondary schools. So most secondary schools in the UK have got Microbits, whether they know it or not. So if you're looking for Microbits and wanted to get started, we'll talk about how you can get them a bit later, but do think about tapping up your local secondary school, maybe via your local CAS hub, because they may have sets that they're not using. Can we have the next slide, please, Amy?
Sure.
Thank you. So why teach with Microbit in primary? Well, it's fun and engaging. It is really, you can get coding in seconds. You can create a physical computing artifact literally in seconds and get very, very quick results. The MakeCode programming language, if you've not used it before, it's very similar to Scratch and will be immediately familiar to any teacher or any pupil who's ever used Scratch before. We've got very easy projects on our website. We'll look at some of those in a moment. They get you started very quickly with some fun, engaging ideas. The code is all there, so you can just put the code straight on your Microbit, or you can edit it and tinker with it. And many of the projects on our website have got video guides as well, so you can use those either for yourself or for your pupils, and you can let them watch those and they can code at their own pace. Lots of opportunity for independent learning and creativity and challenge with this. So every project on our website has at least 2 or 3 extension ideas. So even though we give you the code for a particular project, it's always the simplest version of that project, and the scope there for children to take it further and build on their learning. And great for cross-curricular links. We'll look at that with our primary units of work in a moment. Next slide, please. I should have a little bell. So how does a microbit support teaching and learning in primary? Let's look at that in a bit more detail. It's great for whole class teaching of not just computing, but other subjects as well. And we'll look at that in a moment. So it works very well in a classroom context. It also works well in code club context as well. And that would be one of my top tips for how to get started with a microbit. And it's how I started using it in primary, was as part of a code club. Because it's a really good environment. You just need small numbers of devices. The stakes are very low. So it's a great way if you want to get started with physical computing with the microbit. A code club is a great environment to do that in. Next slide, please, Amy. Thank you. All of our resources, our units of work on our website, we've got 11 primary units of work on our website. They're all linked to the England national curriculum for Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3. So it's really good for meeting particular elements of the curriculum around designing, writing and debugging programs that accomplish specific goals, controlling and simulating physical systems. Well, the microbit is a physical system. So as soon as you put code on the microbit, you are fulfilling that part of the curriculum. You are controlling a physical system. It's fantastic for making those abstract concepts about input, processing, output, making those tangible, because children have that happening in their hand and they can see the code that makes it happen. So it's really, really good for that. Next slide, please. Thank you. So things to consider if you're thinking about teaching with the microbit. Think about how many microbits and computers or devices that you might need. I would say you don't need a whole class set. So don't think that you need 30 devices for a class of 30. 15 would be a great number, maybe even smaller groups. And as I said before, if you're introducing the microbit and physical computing as part of a code club environment, you can get away with much smaller groups of devices, because a lot of our units of work are cross curricular as well in other subjects like art, geography and science. You could use the microbit as part of a carousel. So it doesn't need to be just taught. You're not just teaching the microbit for its own sake. You're integrating it with other lessons in your timetable. And so I could see that it would work well that you had a small set of microbits that you could use as part of a carousel and a range of activities on a given topic. Think about your classroom layout. How can pupils move around and physically get their hands on the devices? And one of the biggest challenges that I found was I was teaching, particularly in Key Stage 3, with whole class sets, because I was part of that initial BBC rollout. So we got one microbit for every year 7 pupil back in 2016. Actually physically handing out 30 microbits and collecting them all back in at the end. Another reason why perhaps smaller sets is probably actually a better idea, and it gives you opportunities for paired programming as well. So almost less is more to some extent, and communicating to pupils how to take care of the microbits and report any damage. So they're pretty robust, even though it is just a sort of bare circuit board really. They are pretty robust. They will stand up to classroom use. They will suffer the knocks and bumps that they take in the classroom remarkably well. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So just to give you a flavour of some of the short projects, we call them Make It Code It projects. There are currently 79 of these projects on our website. All you can search them all by topic, by device feature, and sort through them from beginner to advanced as well. And we're going to publish 4 more next week. So there's going to be 83 of those projects on our website this time next week. Here's a lovely one. It's just a very simple project using the microbit's radio feature. Radio is a really compelling feature of the microbit. It's very simple to write code, just a few blocks to send a simple message between microbits. Here's a project, just a lovely idea to support well-being. It uses radio to send a smile from one microbit to another, so you can kind of share a bit of happiness. It's also linked to Do Your Bit challenge, which we'll talk about later as well. So linked to the global goals for sustainable development to do with well-being and mental health. The link to this is in the download, which you'll be able to get your hands on later. I'll post a link to this in the chat as well. Can we have the next slide, please, Amy?
Oh, video's trying
It's
to
going to play the video. So this is an example of some of the videos we have there. Most of these projects have two videos, one that introduces the project and shows you what you're going to make, and then there's a second coding video that walks you through step by step into building the code. So each of those is there for those projects. So as well as those quick projects, we've got full lessons and units of work. Let's have a quick look at how those work. So here's one about, this is a very popular one, again, based around the global goals. A lovely project about, it's called Safe Sea Turtles. It's based around the idea that sea turtles get distracted by artificial light. And so the idea of this is that you create lighting that will guide humans on a pathway, but without distracting turtles. And it has a nice link by creating a simple image of a turtle. Another example about how things link with other topics like science and art. How do you create a meaningful image on just a 5x5 grid? It's a great challenge and one that children can really get to grips with. And also these projects, nearly all of them work in the MakeCode simulator on the website. So you don't even need to have physical microbits to start doing these activities. You can do an awful lot just in the MakeCode editor. Here we see a very simple program. It's an opportunity here for using some prim in your teaching, the predict, run, investigate, modify, and make model. So you could show this on the whiteboard and ask your pupils, what do you think this program's going to do? And because of the way MakeCode is constructed, it's very simple. It's very much like Scratch. It uses simple English words. You might be able to tease out what this program does. If the light level falls below a certain level, it's going to show a little picture of a turtle on the LED display. Otherwise, it's going to clear the screen and it will remain dark. Can we have the next slide, please, Amy? And here's another one. This is one of our primary units of work linked to the geography curriculum, the topic of volcanoes. There's a bit of geography and a bit of art going on here as well. This is a unit of work where you create volcano animations to show an eruption happening on your Microbit screen. So you can learn a bit of geography, a little bit of art, and some computing all at the same time with this, this particular unit of work. Can we have a look at the next one, please, Amy? And the lessons on our website, if you go to microbit.org/lessons, you'll find all our lessons. You can filter them. There are 18 units of work at the moment. Again, we're just about to publish another unit of work next week that I'm really excited about monitoring energy use in your school. So look out for that. That's going to be a great unit of work that will work for Key Stage 2 or Key Stage 3. But you can filter very quickly. If you click on where it says select age range, you can just pick 7 to 11 and it will show you the 11 units of work that we have that are suitable for Key Stage 2. Nearly all of them are linked to other topics. So we've got lessons there on art, and we have got lessons that link with geography, music, and other subjects as well, because we know even pre-COVID how pressured time is in the curriculum, and that it's really hard to find times for getting computing in as well, with all the other things that you have to teach as well. And I guess that's now more of a problem than ever. So that's why every one of these primary units has got a cross-curricular unit of work. So if you oh, got a question about DT. Yes, there are links with DT. We've not got any specific design technology units of work on our website, but if you look at the Oak Academy, we've worked with the Design and Technology Association, and they have published units of work that use the Microbit for teaching design and technology, and that's an area we're going to look at doing more with. Can we have a quick look at the next slide? Sorry, Taylor, am I out of time?
No, I got a few questions in the chat. We'll finish at the end. It's all good.
Okay, we'll just scoot on. I think we've only got a couple more slides. The Do Your Bit Global Challenge is open now. This is an annual competition that we run worldwide. It's a genuinely global event. Children enter this from all over the world. This year, we've widened the age range. It's open from ages 8 to 18. You don't need a microbit to enter. You don't even need to write any code. You can just come up with an idea for meeting some of the challenges faced by the United Nations Global Goals. You can just write it on paper or draw it. You can send us a picture. And that runs until July 2021. For this round, we'll be running it again next year. It's an annual event. It's really, really inspiring and motivating, especially for children who might not otherwise engage with technology, because children, I think, are really altruistic. Children love thinking about helping other people and helping the environment. It's a really good way of getting them engaged with technology. So check that out. And next slide, one last word about Microbit Classroom. We're really excited about this. This is a tool that we brought out in March last year for teaching live coding lessons with the Microbit. And it solves a lot of the problems that teachers told us they had about physical computing in terms of the time it takes to set up a lesson, and also children saving work at the end of the lesson as well, and carrying over projects from week to week, especially when you're really pushed for time, but you want to do a big project that carries over several lessons. So what this lets you do is set up a coding lesson. So you can create some starter code, anything you want. All of our lessons and projects you can just open up in Microbit Classroom, and you create a session that your students just join with a pin. There are no logins, no passwords. This is entirely free of charge and always will be. It's a free service, and you can teach a live lesson either in class or remotely, or a mixture of both, which I know some people have been required to do, although how that is physically possible to and mentally possible to juggle that, I don't know. So I've utter admiration for anyone who manages to do both at the same time. The crucial thing with this is at the end of the lesson, it allows you to capture the entire lesson as a single file that you, the teacher, download and store in your own storage in your school. We don't keep any of the data. It's very safe from that point of view. We don't keep any pupil data. You store the lesson in your normal storage, and you can resume the lesson next time. Pupils can join and they get their code back. And you also get a Word document with all their code in that you can use for assessment. Right, I think that's pretty much it. So try it out for yourself. We'll circulate this so you'll be able to join in. I'll post a couple of links in the chat as well.
So we have two quick questions.
Yep.
One was, are any of the projects linked to motors and spheros?
Motors and servos.
Spheros. The Microbit, like spheros.
Spheros.
Sorry, yeah.
Not that are on our website. So there aren't projects specifically relating to Sphero on our website. They may have something, I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
It was servos.
Oh, it was servos. So motors and servos. Yes, the Design and Technology Association stuff. I will try and dig out the link and pop it in the chat in a minute. Their Oak Academy unit of work has got stuff using microbits with motors. Somebody asked about Crumble earlier as well. They're kind of complementary devices. Crumble's brilliant for doing stuff with robotics and motors. So if you're using Crumble, it's absolutely brilliant for that. The Microbit is a slightly different kind of device. It's more sort of self-contained. You can do a lot just with the Microbit device on its own without connecting anything to it. So if you're really particularly interested in motors and robotics, absolutely Crumble's a great way to go. Microbit is great for a more sort of general purpose, not just electronics, but doing a lot of stuff with data logging, for example. We've got data logging projects. You can monitor things to do with temperature. It's got a built-in temperature sensor. To do with acceleration, you can do physics projects where you put a Microbit on a vehicle on a slope and measure how fast is the acceleration. You can do all sorts of stuff like that.
Just last quick question.
Taylor, sorry, as we are pushed for time, if there's any more questions, I think Amy and Giles can answer in the chat, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Thank you to Henry, because I can see Henry's with us and joined. Brilliant. So I'll hand straight over to you from GoBubble, and we look forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Wendy. Thanks very much, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. A couple of the first things, hopefully my microphone is turned on. You never want to do that thing and suddenly you're talking for 5 minutes. And also, secondly, hopefully everybody can see my screen. What I actually want to talk about today isn't so much GoBubble, but actually it's about social safeguarding. So what I want to do is actually talk about keeping children safe, particularly in the age of likes and the arena that we're in at the moment. So I'm also conscious that I want to make sure that we finish on the 11:45 deadline. So I will be keeping to time for that. And we'll make sure there's some opportunity for questions. Any questions you've got going throughout, please don't hesitate to let me know. What we're going to be covering in this talk initially is looking at the situation that exists at the moment with online safety and social media and the classroom. We're then going to be looking at some practical tips that we've seen work really well in schools around 70 countries that you can bring into your classroom, free and easy solutions. And then we're going to be looking at the role of collaboration and collaborative learning now with children returning to the classroom en masse. So let's have a look first of all at the first section. So what are we talking about with the current situation with safeguarding, in particular around social media? And everything that I'm going to be covering off is based on my personal experience. I was a police sergeant and I've worked in this arena now for 16 years. So I'm going to be drawing on stories, anecdotes, and information that I've gleaned over the years working in this. First of all, when we're talking about social media and safeguarding, there are very obvious risks that we all appreciate being in an education setting around safeguarding about content and access to materials. But one of the unknown, one of the hidden facts that actually exists with social media and schools is that research from Nominet has shown that 11 days are lost every year because of schools having to deal with social media issues that have happened outside of school. So there is actually a direct link here in terms of attainment and also disruption in the classroom about external social media causing problems within the school days. Then when we're looking directly at kids in particular in a primary setting and then transition into early key stage 3, almost 80% of kids use social media underage. And again, you know, being a sergeant in the police and working with schools through e-cadets, which we created, which has benefited more than 1 million kids, we've seen this firsthand. We've seen the high proliferation of social media use from kids. But why do they use it? One of the reasons why, or one of the reasons that they don't use it for, I should say, is to connect with strangers. They don't use it for that. But sadly, almost a quarter of kids have been contacted by a grown-up pretending to be someone they're not through social or digital platforms. So again, we've got disruption in the classroom, we've got a high amount of use in key stage 2, key stage 3, and then we also have the clear safeguarding implications that can come through around contact that comes through. But why do kids use social media? Why are they using these platforms, particularly when you chat with kids and the high volume of children? They don't want to be contacted by strangers. That isn't why they're using it. What they want to do is they want to chat with their friends. They want to have an area that's accessible. They want to have an area that's fun, an area that they can engage with, whereby they can be themselves. They can be authentic. They can share their interests. They can share their likes, and that they can have those conversations. Just like in the same way, going way, way back, I'm a dad now, Rocco's 4, Sophia's 8. So, but when I was in school, and one of the things that I would always do when I came back from school, first thing, pick up the phone, stretch it on the long cord from the kitchen to the bottom step of the stairs, and I'd phone my mates who I'd just walked home with. And my parents would be like, why on earth are you doing that? And it's like, because I want to chat with my friends. It's exactly the same why children use social media. They want to be able to connect to their friends. And this is something which isn't exclusive to England or the UK. This is a global situation. Part of the work that we now do, actually we work and we have more than 3,500 registered schools in 70 countries. So this is something which is a global situation where there is this demand that the children have to be able to have these authentic environments. But actually, how can we use them? How can we use them as a force for good? So I mentioned that I was going to look at some top tips and how you can actually bring things into the classroom to help you as educators tap into the role that social media has within the kids' lives, but also at the same time to ensure that you're reducing that risk of disruption of those 11 teaching days that are lost every year, dealing with issues on mainstream social platforms like TikTok, like WhatsApp, like Instagram, you name it. So actually, how can we use this as a force for good? Now, there's lots of great examples around blogging, microblogging, pen pals, collaboration, learning about modern foreign language, learning about different cultures, using it in STEM, using it in literacy, using it in maths. All of this opportunity is there within social media, if it's obviously used in the right way and in the right environment. Now, one of the big things that we looked at when we created GoBubble, which is free for schools to use and access, and it is very much a social media for your classroom, is actually we want to look deeper. And we wanted to solve one of what we felt was the biggest problems with traditional social media, which was narcissism. Because traditional social media is very narcissistic, that breeds bad behavior. That breeds negativity, it breeds point scoring over undermining other people and chasing a culture of likes. So one of the things that we've done within GoBubble actually is to shift that narrative. We actually reward and value kindness. So we reward the likes that children give, not the likes they get. And head teachers and parents and teachers and kids themselves have all said that they've seen this reduce bullying, they've seen it improve empathy, and they've seen it improve the authenticity of the communication of the children by using it in the classroom environment. GoBubble looks and operates just like normal social media. So there's text, there's photo, there's video, there's emojis. But importantly, one of the things that we want to do, and I'm the son of two teachers. My dad was a high school head teacher. Mum was a primary STEM teacher. Sorry, Key Stage 2 STEM teacher. They always said to me, there's two things that teachers don't have. One is time, the other one is money. I'd actually add a third one into that, and that's not enough alcohol, or alcohol on prescription should be given to teachers, particularly at this time. One of the things that we were conscious about with regards to time is we didn't want to place an emphasis on teachers where they have to police content. That's not the role of an educator. So what we've done within GoBubble is actually we check all the content before it goes live first. It's done automatically in real time using our software and machine learning. What it means is actually it reduces the bullying, it reduces the negativity, it reduces any of the issues, and it reduces the safeguarding risks. And then it means that actually the learning can be layered on top of that. There is a paradox that exists with online safety. And that's if you assemble all of your kids in your class or your assembly, and I know this again firsthand from being a sergeant in the police and doing it, and then working with schools since, is that if you ask kids what should they do when they're being safe online, they'll tell you. They always have the right answers. But actually, more often not, the more right answers that a child has, the more they're at risk of actually doing the wrong thing. Because all this will be doing is just trotting out a narrative that we have given to them over the years. Actually, what we need to look at is more practical intervention and giving them the opportunities to evidence the skills and to layer and build on the framework of skills. That's also connected to the messaging paradox. So the older the person is giving it, the less they're likely to engage with it. And that was one of the reasons why we drove forward with eCadets, which is kids teaching other kids how to be safe online. At the heart of everything that we're talking about is about stopping cyberbullying. That's one of the most important things that drives us. Obviously, underneath all of this, there are connections to the PHSE curriculum, there's connections to the computing curriculum around responsible use and ethical use and being safe online, and lots of ways that that GoBubble can help and support with regard to that. So a couple of things that I would recommend in your school, if you don't already do this, that you certainly have a look at doing it. One, student leaders. So as I mentioned, the older the person delivering the online safety message, the less likely the kids are to listen to it. Yes, we have eCadets. eCadets is a program that does all this for you, but putting that to one side, certainly have a look at setting up some form of student leadership body within your school to lead on the role of digital citizenship and online safety. Really critical. It will deliver maximum impact for minimum time. Certainly something which I would strongly recommend. Next thing is once you have them to look at the whole school community, not just the kids in their class or their year group, but also the teaching staff, the governors and the parents. Have them craft the messages which are important for your school, addressing the issues that your school may have. These are an example of some of the posters created by kids as eCadets to actually put out around their school and to help educate and inform. Kelly Williams at Broughton School, she took her eCadets and they actually went into the local library and they trained pensioners to actually help the wider community. So there's lots of ways that school leaders can help. This is just a very short demo just to show you what GoBubble looks like. I mentioned that it checks all the content beforehand. Everything operates like a timeline with the content that you can create, and there's the opportunity to collaborate back and forth. Just skipping ahead of this for us for time. How easy is it to roll out? we want to save people time. So actually to register, you register, it creates a 6-digit code for your school once we're happy that you are who you say you are, and you can then hand that code out to the rest of your school. Also, so this launched just yesterday. So we now have Go Write. This is our global creative writing activity, which is in GoBubble, completely free for schools to take part. We've already seen incredible engagement with it already in terms of the creative writing. And because we're in 70 countries around the world, we're sharing photo stimulus to help the kids do creative writing based on landmarks and cultures of the countries that we cover at the moment. Been brilliant also in terms of giving the peer feedback. So you have an authentic audience for the children to be able to comment on the writing of their peers as well. That's GoBubble. That's online social safeguarding. That was bang on 45 minutes, but my summing up has just taken us into the 46th minute. So apologies for that, Wendy. Obviously, if there are any questions, more than happy to answer them. The website is gobubble.school. I'm Henry Platten, and thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much. And thank you to Amy, Giles and Henry for presenting during this session today.